The sun beat down on the rusted rooftops of District 11, where the streets were filled with dust, noise, and dreams people rarely spoke of. Amir sat on a broken cement block outside a small tea stall, his shirt soaked in sweat and dirt. He had just come from the factory where he worked 10 hours a day loading sacks of grain. His hands were rough, his shoulders ached, but his eyes burned with something deeper, something restless. He watched the older boys across the street punching an old punching bag tied to a wooden pole. It was worn out, patched in places with cloth and duct tape. They laughed, cheered, and challenged each other, pretending they were champions. Amir said nothing. He just watched. The youngest of them, a boy named Faison, was barely stronger than Amir, but full of pride. He looked at Amir with a smirk. "What are you looking at, bag boy?" Amir said nothing. He stood up and started to walk away. "You think you can fight? You've never even stepped inside a ring." Faison threw a small rock at Amir. It hit his back. Amir stopped. The others laughed. "Come here, hit the bag. Show us what you got. Or are you just scared?" Amir turned slowly. He didn't want to fight. He had no training, no coach, no gloves. But there was something in Faison's voice that hit a nerve. Not anger, but something worse. Pity. He walked toward them. Faison stepped back, surprised. Amir stood in front of the bag. He looked at it for a moment. He raised his fist. Uneven. He threw one punch, then another. The boys laughed. "He punches like a wet towel," someone shouted. Amir's jaw clenched. He stepped forward, twisted his shoulder, and hit the bag harder. It moved this time. He punched again, harder again. He forgot the boys, forgot the heat, forgot everything. His hands hurt, but he didn't stop. He hit the bag until his knuckles bled through his skin. When he finally stopped, the boys were quiet. Faison frowned, unsure of what he had just seen. One of the older boys spoke. "Where did you learn that?" Amir looked at his hands. "Nowhere." He walked away without another word. A man had been watching from the shadows behind a nearby wall. His name was Haroun, gray beard, limp in his walk. No one in the neighborhood paid him much attention anymore. Years ago, he was a champion, a fighter who represented the country in the regional games, but one fight ended his career and his name vanished from the news, the posters, and the people's minds. But Haroun never stopped watching, and he had been watching Amir for weeks. That night, Amir returned home to a one-room shack where his mother lay sleeping. She worked cleaning houses. She never asked about his bruises. They both had too many of their own. Amir opened a small notebook hidden under his bed. Inside were clippings of boxing news, pictures of old champions, and hand-drawn training routines. He didn't know if they were correct. He had no one to ask. But he believed in them, and in himself. The next morning, as Amir walked to the factory, Haroun stood in his path. "You hit like someone who's been hit by life." Amir paused, confused. "What?" "You punch with anger, but your eyes, they want something more." "Who are you?" "Someone who used to believe in boxing. Until boxing stopped believing in me." Amir started to walk away. "Wait," Haroun said. "Meet me at the abandoned gym near the railway line. Tonight, 6 o'clock. Why? You want to fight? I can teach you how, if you're serious." Amir stared at him. His heart raced, but his voice stayed calm. "Okay." That evening, Amir walked through broken fences and rusted gates to find the old gym. Inside, everything smelled of sweat and memory. Haroun stood near a dusty ring, starred with a rope. Amir looked around. "There's no rope." Haroun threw him a worn piece of cable. "Improvise." Amir trained for 2 hours. No water, no praise, just commands. Haroun corrected every movement, every step. Amir stumbled. He fell. He got up. Again, again. At the end, Haroun tossed him a water bottle. "Come tomorrow, same time." For the next 6 months, Amir worked at the factory by day and trained by night. He didn't tell anyone, not even his mother. Haroun taught him footwork, timing, breathing. He made him punch trees to toughen his knuckles, made him run barefoot on gravel, made him punch bags filled with sand. Amir's body changed. He grew faster, sharper, stronger. But his hunger stayed the same. One night, Haroun handed him a paper. "There's a local tournament. First match is next week. You ready?" Amir's chest tightened. "What if I lose? Then you'll learn. And if I win?" Haroun smiled. "Then they'll start to notice." The night before the match, Amir couldn't sleep. He stood outside his home, looking at the stars. His hands shook. Not with fear, with excitement. He wasn't the same boy anymore. The next day, the crowd at the local tournament was small, but loud. Amir's opponent was bigger, older, a crowd favorite. Amir stepped into the ring, heart pounding. Haroun watched from the back, arms folded. The bell rang. The fight began. Amir dodged, blocked, moved. He remembered everything Haroun taught him. In the second round, he saw an opening. A quick left jab, then a right hook. The opponent staggered. Amir didn't stop. One more punch and the boy fell. The crowd went silent, then erupted. Amir stood in the center of the ring, shocked. He had won. A stranger handed him a medal. Another offered to sponsor his gear. Haroun nodded once. "You're ready for more." That night, as Amir walked home, a sleek black car slowed beside him. The window rolled down. A man in sunglasses leaned out. "You're Amir. Yes? Rayhan Khan wants to meet you. Amir froze. Rayhan Khan, the national champion, undefeated, arrogant, dangerous. Why? The man smiled. He says he wants to give you advice. Amir's heart raced. This was the moment every fighter dreamed of, but something in the man's voice felt wrong. Tomorrow, noon, Khan's gym. The car drove away. Amir stood still, his hands clenched. Something big was coming. He could feel it. But whether it was a chance or a trap he didn't know yet. One thing was clear. The fight had only just begun. Amir stood outside the giant gates of Khan's gym, his hands cold with sweat. The name Rayhan Khan was printed in bold letters on the metal sign, and beneath it, pictures of trophies, championship belts, and headlines with phrases like the untouchable and king of the ring were plastered all over. Amir knew this wasn't just a gym. It was a monument built for one man, a man who never lost. He took a deep breath and stepped inside. The gym smelled like new leather and fresh polish. Expensive punching bags hung from steel frames. Fighters with branded tracksuits trained on spotless mats. Everyone looked strong, fast, perfect. Amir, with his faded t-shirt and worn-out shoes, felt out of place. But he kept walking. He was here for a reason. A tall man with a shaved head approached him. Amir, he asked. Amir nodded. This way. The man led him through a hallway to a private training room. There, shadowboxing in front of a mirror, was Rayhan Khan himself. He was taller than Amir expected. Every muscle on his body looked carved, and his movements were sharp, like he could cut the air. Rayhan stopped when he saw Amir. He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. So, you're the factory boy everyone's talking about. Amir stayed silent. Rayhan walked up, his eyes scanning Amir from head to toe. You've got guts. Not many kids would come here alone. Amir swallowed. You wanted to see me. Rayhan chuckled. Straight to the point. I like that. He stepped closer. I saw your match last week. You were quick, smart, raw but interesting. Amir's heart pounded. Was this praise, or something else? Rayhan turned away and picked up a towel. You have potential, Amir, but you're walking into a world you don't understand. I'm not scared, Amir said, surprising even himself. Rayhan raised an eyebrow. Brave words. Tell me, what do you want? Fame, money, revenge. Amir paused. Respect. Rayhan laughed. Respect. That's earned with blood in this game, not dreams. He looked at Amir again, this time with a colder expression. How about a little test? Step into the ring with one of my boys. Just a friendly spar. Let's see what you're really made of. Amir hesitated. This was sudden. He hadn't come to fight today, but something inside him said this was the moment Haroon had prepared him for. All right, Amir said quietly. Within minutes, a young boxer named Samir entered the ring. He looked a year older than Amir, but bulkier and full of confidence. Don't go easy on him, Rayhan said. Samir smiled. Amir stepped into the ring, gloves on, mouthguard, and the bell rang. Samir came fast to fast. He threw a heavy jab that Amir barely dodged. Another punch followed. Then a third. Amir blocked them. Stepping back, watching, Haroon's voice echoed in his memory. Let them show you their rhythm, then break it. Amir waited for the next move, then ducked low and slid to the side. His counter jab hit Samir's ribs. The boy staggered. Rayhan's smile faded. Amir grew sharper with each second. Samir's speed became predictable. Amir landed another punch, this time to the chin. The onlookers around the ring grew quiet. Samir tried to recover with a wild hook. Amir ducked and swept him to the canvas. The bell rang, sparring over silence. Then a few claps. Amir removed his gloves. Rayhan stared at him, unreadable. Finally, he spoke. You fight like someone with something to prove. Amir nodded. Maybe I do. That's dangerous, but interesting. Rayhan walked closer. I have a tournament in 2 months. It's regional, big stage. I can get you in. Amir blinked. What's the catch? Rayhan smiled darkly. You'll represent my gym. My name, if you win it, shines on me. If you lose, it's your fall. Amir hesitated. This was what he wanted. Entry into the real world of boxing, but Rayhan's offer felt more like a leash. I'll think about it. Rayhan's smile faded. Don't take too long. Opportunities like this don't wait. Amir nodded and left. Outside, the evening sun felt sharp on his skin. His mind was spinning. He had just stood face to face with the national champion, and he had survived. He even impressed him. But something about Rayhan didn't sit right. That night, Amir met Haroon at the old gym. He told him everything. Haroon stayed silent until Amir finished. Then he sighed deeply. Rayhan Khan is not just a boxer. He's a businessman, a politician in gloves. He sees you as a tool, but if I fight under him, I get real exposure. Amir argued. Yes, and a chain around your neck, Haroon replied. He'll control your matches. Your future, he'll break you when you stop winning. Amir looked down. So what do I do? Haroon stood up. You train harder, you fight smarter, and you enter that tournamental but under your own name. They won't let me in without sponsorship, Amir said. Haroon walked to an old locker, pulled out a dusty envelope, and handed it to Amir. They will now inside were papers, forms, and a sponsor signature. Amir looked up, shocked. You Harun nodded. I've been saving that for someone who deserved it. That someone is you. Amir's eyes burned. Thank you. Harun placed a hand on his shoulder. Now let's train like your life depends on it. The next morning, Amir went back to Rihan's gym not to accept the offer, but to speak his truth. Rihan was lifting weights, sweat running down his arms. He saw Amir and smiled. Changed your mind? No, Amir said. I'll enter the tournament, but not under your name. The gym fell silent. Even the music stopped. Rihan stood up, muscles tense. Is that so? Yes, I'll fight on my own. Win or lose it'll be mine. Rihan's jaw tightened. Then he stepped closer. You just made an enemy, boy. Amir didn't flinch. Then I'll train even harder. He turned and walked away. Rihan stared at his back, fists clenched. The games had begun, and Amir had just declared war. But Rihan wasn't used to losing, and he wasn't planning to start now. The air in the gym was thick with silence after Amir walked out. Rihan Khan stood still, eyes narrowed, watching the door. No one dared speak. No one ever said no to Rihan Khan. Till now. Amir's refusal had cut through Rihan's pride like a blade. The silence was broken when Samir, still rubbing his sore jaw from the sparring match, asked softly, "What do we do now?" Rihan didn't look at him. "We wait," he said. "He's young. He's loud. He'll fall." Amir, meanwhile, didn't even glance back. As he stepped out of the building, his hands trembled slightly, not from fear, but from the weight of what he'd just done. He had rejected a deal that could have brought him fast fame and recognition, but his soul told him it wasn't the right path. He trusted Harun, and more than that, he trusted himself. That night, Harun was already waiting at the old dusty gym, adjusting the torn punching bags and setting up new wraps. You did the right thing, he said without looking at Amir. Amir nodded and dropped his bag. But now I need to be ready. We only have 8 weeks. Harun turned to him and smiled. Then let's stop wasting time. The next few days were brutal. Amir's training doubled. Harun woke him before sunrise every morning. They ran through muddy roads, jumped tires in back alleys, lifted bricks instead of weights. The gym didn't have high-end equipment, but it had heart. Amir learned to block faster, punch sharper, move quicker. Harun trained him not just in strength, but in patience, in observation, in reading an opponent like a book. Watch their feet, Harun said as Amir sparred with an older boxer named Rizwan. The feet lie less than the fists. Amir took the advice seriously. He stopped fighting like a wild storm and began flowing like water, quick, quiet, dangerous. In the evenings, Amir returned home exhausted. His mother cooked silently, watching him with concern. She knew he was chasing something big, but she didn't know how dangerous it could become. One night, as she served him dal and rice, she sat beside him and said, "Amir, why are you doing this?" Amir looked up, surprised. "You never asked before." "I'm asking now," he paused. "Because all my life, I've been told I'm not enough. Not strong enough, not smart enough, not rich enough. But in that ring, no one can take anything from me. Not my name, not my fight. I want to show them I'm more than what they think." His mother's eyes softened, but she didn't smile. "Promise me you'll protect yourself. Don't lose who you are in proving it." "I promise," he whispered. The next morning, Harun gave Amir a surprise. "We're going to the regional training camp today," he said. "You need to see your competition." They traveled 2 hours by bus to a large open training ground where fighters from across the region came to prepare. Amir's eyes widened. Dozens of boxers, some twice his size, were sparring, lifting, shouting, and training with serious focus. But it wasn't the noise or the sweat that caught his attention, it was the confidence. These people had been in real fights. Many had sponsors, teams, proper diets. Amir suddenly felt small. Harun noticed. "You're not here to fear them, you're here to understand them." As they walked through the camp, a group of young men wearing black tracksuits and gold trims laughed loudly. One of them shouted, "Hey, is that the street kid Rahan talked about?" Amir turned to Zarek Khan, Rahan's younger cousin, and one of the most feared fighters under his banner. Zarek was strong, arrogant, and cruel. He stepped forward, arms folded. "So, you're the big story now? The boy who walked away?" Amir didn't respond. Zarek smirked. "Tell you what, why don't we spar right now? Let's see if all that pride comes with fists." Harun stepped between them. "He's not here for drama." Zarek raised his eyebrows. "You training him now, old man? Should have stayed retired." "Careful," Harun said calmly. "I've trained champions before, you'll see." Zarek laughed and walked away, his crew following. Amir's fists clenched. "I want to fight him." Harun shook his head. "Not yet. Let your anger stay quiet. Let it burn slow." Amir nodded, but deep inside he had made a silent promise. He would face Zarek in the ring, in front of everyone. A week passed. Amir's stamina increased. His punches became faster. Harun taught him mental focus, how to breathe, how to stay still when fear rises, how to see weakness in another man's eyes. "Boxing isn't just fists," Harun said one evening. "It's chess. And your brain is the queen." Then came the first big test. A pre-qualifier, sparring exhibition. It wasn't an official match, but scouts and media would be watching. Harun signed Amir up without telling him. Amir walked into the venue, surprised to see cameras and spotlights. "I'm not ready," he whispered. "You are," Harun replied. "You just don't know it yet." Amir's opponent was announced Ali Faisal, a crowd favorite known for aggressive strikes. As they entered the ring, the crowd cheered for Ali. No one knew Amir. No one expected anything. The bell rang. Ali came in hard, punching like a hammer. Amir dodged, ducked, but took 2 hits to the chest. The crowd roared. "End it quick," someone yelled. Harun stayed silent at the corner, only raising one hand, 2 fingers curled in, one pointing out. Amir saw the signal. He remembered the drill. Break the rhythm. He shifted to the side, let Ali overstep, and delivered a clean body hook followed by an uppercut. Ali stumbled. The crowd hushed. Amir didn't chase. He waited calm. When Ali attacked again, Amir used his own force against him like water crashing against a rock and pulling it under. Another clean strike. Then another. The bell rang. Even though it was just a spar, everyone in the room stood still. The silence that followed felt louder than cheers. And then, applause. Not for Ali but for Amir. That night, social media buzzed with a clip of the boy, who danced in the ring like a ghost and struck like lightning. "Who is this kid?" people asked. "Where did he come from?" Rehan Khan saw the clip too. He was sitting in his office, watching the video on repeat. His eyes darkened. "He didn't come through me. That's dangerous." Samir, sitting beside him, said, "Should I challenge him again?" Rehan shook his head. "No, not yet. Let the world fall in love with him first. Then we destroy him where it hurts most in front of everyone." But Rehan didn't know that Amir had already faced his worst pain, and what was coming next would test not just Amir's fists, but his heart. The sun had not yet risen, but Amir was already awake. His body was sore, his hands ached, and his feet were bruised from endless hours of training. Yet he felt something new, something powerful. It wasn't pride. It wasn't even happiness. It was quiet fire. The exhibition match had changed everything. For the first time in his life, strangers had clapped for him. For the first time, people weren't laughing or ignoring him. They were watching. They were waiting. Harun stood at the gym entrance, holding 2 steaming cups of chai. "Did you sleep at all?" he asked. Amir shook his head and smiled. "A little, but I kept replaying the fight in my head. Every step, every mistake." Harun nodded. "Good. Remember your mistakes more than your punches. That's how real fighters grow." They sipped tea in silence as the sky turned pale orange. Then Harun spoke again. "You impressed a lot of people last night, but not all attention is good attention. Keep your guard up outside the ring too." Amir didn't understand at the time, but the warning would prove true soon enough. Later that day, Amir visited his old neighborhood. Children ran up to him, shouting his name. "Amir, bye. I saw you on YouTube. You punched like a tiger. Will you train us?" He laughed, knelt down, and played with them, shadowboxing lightly. Their eyes sparkled with wonder. For them, Amir wasn't just a fighter. Now he was a hero. But not everyone was cheering. From across the alley, Zubair, an older boy Amir once knew, stared coldly. "So now you think you're a star," he muttered loud enough for Amir to hear. "One lucky punch, and suddenly you're better than us." Amir stood up. "No one's better than anyone. I just worked hard." Zubair spat on the ground. "Don't forget where you came from." Amir didn't respond, but something inside him tightened. Fame was a spotlight, but that spotlight also cast shadows. And in those shadows, envy grew. Meanwhile, Rehan Khan wasn't sleeping. His gym, though full of fighters, had lost its shine since Amir's clip went viral. New fighters were asking about Harun. Young trainees were considering switching camps. Even sponsors were calling, asking who this new boy was. Rehan's pride was cracking, and when his pride cracked, his fury poured out. He called Zarek Khan to his office. "You remember Amir?" he asked. Zarek smiled cruelly. "The kid who didn't even make it through 1 round with me." Rehan's eyes narrowed. "He's more dangerous now, and people are watching. We need to shut him down before the championship qualifiers begin." Zarek leaned forward. How Rehan smirked. "You'll find out soon." Across town, Amir's training was pushed to a new level. Harun added mental drills, blindfolded sparring, balance training, silence exercises. "Your body is ready," Harun said. "Now train your mind." In the ring, 5 seconds of panic can destroy 5 months of preparation. Amir practiced meditation, learned how to slow his heartbeat, how to hear the breath of his opponent, how to move with intention. But even with all the focus, Amir couldn't forget what Harun said earlier about bad attention. And then it happened. One night, as Amir walked home from the gym, a black car pulled up beside him. The window rolled down. Inside sat a man in a suit with dark glasses. He looked expensive. Dangerous. "Amir," the man said, "I represent people who want to help you. Big sponsors. They watched your last fight. They think you have potential." Amir stayed silent. "We can offer you 5 lakh rupees up front. You train with us. You fight under our name. You'll have the best gear, the best trainers, everything." Amir took a step back. "Who are your people?" The man smiled. "Let's just say, we know Rehan Khan." Amir's face hardened. "No." The man didn't lose his smile. Are you sure? 5 lakh is a lot of money for a boy from your part of the city. Think about your mother, your future. I said no. The man's smile vanished. Be careful, Amir. Sometimes the ring is not the most dangerous place. Sometimes it's the road that takes you there. Then the car drove off, leaving a trail of smoke and a chill in Amir's chest. When he told Harun the next morning, the old man's face turned pale. They're trying to break you before you even qualify. Then I'll hit back harder, Amir said. Harun shook his head. Not with fists, with silence. Train, win. Let your victories speak. The championship qualifiers were now only 3 weeks away. The list of participants was released. Zara Khan, Samir Malik, Saeed the Bone, Amir Ali. The names sent a shockwave through the local boxing scene. This wasn't just a tournament now. It was a war of styles, pride, and history. Amir's mother noticed the pressure. She saw her son sleeping less, eating quietly, staring at walls deep in thought. One evening, she sat beside him and placed a small notebook in his hand. It was your father's, she said softly. Amir opened it. Inside were pages of notes, scribbles, dreams. His father had been a boxer too, but never made it to the national level. He wanted you to fight, she whispered. But not just in the ring. In life. Tears welled in Amir's eyes. I miss him. I know, she said, holding his hand. Fueled by his father's memory and his mother's quiet strength, Amir trained harder than ever. The final week arrived. The venue was announced, a grand stadium. Thousands of seats, cameras, live coverage. The day before the qualifiers, Amir received a letter. No name, just one sentence. You won't make it out of the ring, alive. Amir stared at the paper. For a moment, his fingers trembled, but then he folded the note and tucked it into his pocket. He looked at Harun and said, Good, that means they're scared. The next morning, as Amir entered the stadium for the qualifiers, he wore his father's worn gloves, the same ones that never saw glory but had held hope. The crowd roared as names were announced. Zara Khan entered with a roaring crowd behind him, gold robe glinting under the lights. Samir entered with a focused look, revenge burning in his eyes. Amir entered last. No music, no grand entrance, but when the lights hit his face, the crowd went silent, not out of fear, but out of something else. Respect. And, as the first match was called, Amir tightened his gloves, looked up at the lights and whispered, This is for every boy they tried to break. The bell rang, and the story took a turn no one could have predicted. The bell rang, and the stadium fell silent. Amir stepped into the center of the ring, facing a tall, muscular fighter named Armana, seasoned boxer known for his brutal hooks and sharp counters. The crowd was whispering, unsure how Amir would handle a real tournament opponent. This wasn't an exhibition anymore. This was war. Arman didn't smile. He simply raised his fists and stared down at Amir like a lion staring at its prey. But Amir didn't blink. He had spent weeks preparing not just his body, but his mind. He could hear Harun's voice in his head. Don't fear his size. Fear your own doubt. Kill that, and you'll win. The referee gave the signal. The first round began. Arman came forward aggressively. He threw a flurry of jabs and powerful body shots, testing Amir's defense. Amir kept his guard tight and used his footwork. He wasn't trying to win the round, he was trying to learn. He noticed the way Arman dropped his left hand after every right hook. He saw the way he always stepped to his left before lunging. These small clues were hidden in the storm of punches, but Amir saw them. The crowd wasn't impressed yet. Arman clearly looked stronger. He landed a few punches that made Amir stumble slightly, but then something unexpected happened. Near the end of the first round, Amir dodged a massive uppercut and landed a sharp counter jab straight to Arman's nose. Blood gushed instantly. The bell rang, and both fighters returned to their corners. Harun leaned in. You see his weakness? Amir nodded. Every time he turns his shoulder, he overhits me. Harun smiled. Use it. Round 2 began. This time, Amir moved with more confidence. He didn't just defend, he attacked. Quick, sharp punches to the ribs, a fake step left, then a hook to the right. Arman was surprised. This wasn't the same boy from round 1. This was a different beast. Arman swung wildly, angry now. But Amir ducked, slid to the side, and landed a body shot that made Arman bend slightly. The crowd gasped. Round 2 ended. Amir had clearly taken control. In the break before round 3, Rehan Khan was watching from the VIP box. His jaw tightened. His plans were already falling apart. He turned to Zara Khan. Make sure he doesn't win. He's not supposed to. Win. Zarak smiled. Don't worry. If Arman fails, I'll be waiting. Round 3 started. Amir was now dancing around Arman, using every lesson Harun taught him. He was faster, smarter, calmer. Every time Arman charged, Amir used it. Against him, the match turned into a lesson and the crowd could feel it. In the final seconds of round 3, Amir landed a clean uppercut that dropped Arman to his knees. The referee stepped in. The count began. Arman struggled, tried to stand, but couldn't keep his balance. 10 seconds passed. The match was over. Amir had won. The crowd exploded. People screamed his name. Some were in shock. Some stood in disbelief. Amir didn't raise his hands. He simply walked to Arman and offered his hand to help him up. Arman looked at him, confused, but took his hand. Amir whispered, "You're strong, just not today." Back in the locker room, Amir sat silently, toweled around his shoulders. Harun patted his back. "That was your first real test, and you passed." Amir nodded, but inside, he knew this was only the beginning. Later that evening, news of Amir's victory spread across social media. Clips of the fight went viral again, but this time, Amir wasn't just a lucky underdog, he was the real thing. Fighters began to take notice. Sponsors sent feelers. Young boys in slums whispered his name like a prayer, but the success brought new enemies. That night, someone threw a brick through Amir's training gym window. Attached to it was a note: "Stay down, or we'll put you down." Harun read the note and threw it in the bin. "This is fear, Amir. Their fear. You don't fight fear with fists. You fight it with courage." Amir trained harder. He knew his next fight would be tougher, and it was. His next opponent was Samir Malik, a brutal street fighter turned professional, known for never smiling and never losing. Samir didn't talk, he just stared. His record was perfect, and his fists were known to end fights in round 1. Before the fight, Amir's mother gave him his father's old pendant, a tiny medal from a local tournament long ago. "He never won a championship," she said, "but he never gave up, and neither will you." Amir wore the pendant around his neck, hidden under his shirt. He closed his eyes, took a breath, and stepped into the ring again. Samir walked in slowly, cracking his neck. His presence alone was terrifying. The crowd was loud but nervous. They knew someone could get hurt tonight. The bell rang. Samir didn't wait. He charged. A heavy right punch came straight for Amir's jaw. Amir dodged it by inches and stepped back. Samir followed with a body shot that knocked the wind out of Amir. For a moment, everything spun. Amir almost fell, but his feet held. His vision cleared. Harun shouted from the corner, "Breathe." Amir focused. He remembered his training. Slow the heartbeat. Watch the eyes. Feel the rhythm. Samir attacked again, but Amir saw the pattern. Left jab, right hook, body shot. Over and over. In the middle of the second round, Amir finally moved forward with his own attack. A series of jabs, 2 feints, and a perfect counter left punch. It landed. Samir blinked. For the first time in his career, he looked unsure. Amir didn't stop. He kept moving, kept pressuring. Samir threw wild punches, but Amir's footwork saved him. The round ended. The crowd was on fire. People couldn't believe it. The boy from the slums was standing toe-to-toe with a professional destroyer. In round 3, Samir got angrier. He started swinging with bad intent. One punch caught Amir in the ribs, and pain shot through his body. But Amir didn't stop. He returned fire, landed a sharp jab, then a surprise left hook. Samir staggered. Amir followed up with a body shot. Then another. Samir went down on one knee. The crowd was screaming. The referee stepped in. Samir stood up just in time. The fight continued. In the final minute of round 3, Amir did something unexpected. He smiled. It wasn't arrogance, it was joy. He was dancing in the ring. He wasn't just surviving, he was living. The bell rang. Both fighters were bruised, sweating, exhausted. The judges gave the decision. Winner. Amir Ali. Samir shook his head but smiled slightly. He extended his hand. Amir took it. "You're the real thing," Samir said quietly. After the fight, Amir sat in the locker room alone. He opened the notebook his father had once kept. On the last page, in faded ink, it read, "One day, my son will finish what I started." Amir closed the book, but outside the stadium, in the shadows, Zara Khan was waiting. And he wasn't smiling. The night was quiet, but Amir couldn't sleep. The win against Samir had changed everything. People now called him the Boy Lion, and his face was on posters across the city. But inside, Amir felt a storm. He kept thinking about the note, the brick, and the shadowy man he had seen outside the stadium. Zara Khan. Harun noticed Amir's silence during training. "What's on your mind?" he asked one morning. Amir lowered his gloves. "Do you know Zara Khan?" Harun froze. His face changed. "Why are you asking?" "He was there after the match, watching me." Harun looked away. Zara Khan is not a boxer. He's a killer who puts on gloves. Amir frowned. "He's a fighter." "No," Harun said quietly. "He's a warning. 10 years ago, he was banned for life, after sending a man into a coma in the ring, but the underworld sponsors him now. He fights off the record, in illegal tournaments. And no one wins against him, not unless they want to disappear." Amir felt a chill down his spine. Later that week, Amir received a formal invitation, a black envelope, no return address. Inside was a single card with bold letters. "The real ring awaits. Zara Khan versus Amir Ali. 1 match. No rules." Harun took the card and tore it in half. "You're not going?" Amir stayed silent. "You hear me?" Harun shouted. "You go into that ring, and you're not fighting for glory. You're fighting for your life." "I'm already fighting for my life," Amir whispered. "Every match, every day. If I say no now, they'll keep coming." Harun walked away without another word. That night, Amir sat alone in the gym. His father's old pendant felt heavy around his neck. His mind raced. He didn't want revenge. He wanted peace. But peace never came to people like him, not until they stood up to the monsters. 3 days later, Amir disappeared from the public eye. His next scheduled match was quietly cancelled. Rumors spread, some said he was injured, others claimed he was scared. But in reality, Amir was preparing, not in gyms, but in dark alleys, abandoned warehouses, and rooftop corners. Harun didn't train him this time. Instead, Amir studied the old tapes, hidden footage of Zarak's brutal underground fights. Every frame showed a man who didn't fight for sport. He fought to destroy. Amir knew he couldn't outpunch Zarak, he had to outthink him. The night of the secret fight arrived. The underground arena was hidden beneath an abandoned textile mill. The air smelled of sweat and cigarette smoke. Rich men in suits sat in the shadows, placing bets. The lights above the ring were dim, barely enough to see. Zarak was already in the ring, shirtless, covered in scars. He smiled when he saw Amir enter. "You're brave," he said. "Or stupid." Amir didn't respond. He took off his shirt and walked into the center. The referee, if you could call him that, nodded once. There were no bells, no introductions, just a voice from the shadows. "Begin." Zarak charged without warning. Amir dodged the first blow, but got caught by the second, a crushing body punch that made him stagger. The crowd roared. Zarak didn't stop. He threw another, and another. Amir covered up, breathing hard. He moved back, using the corners, trying to survive the storm. "Where's your courage, boy?" Zarak taunted. Amir didn't answer. Instead, he focused. Every time Zarak swung, he noted the rhythm. 1, 2, wait, smash. Zarak's punches were wild, fueled by rage, but they had a pattern. Amir waited. Midway through the round, Zarak made a mistake. He overreached. Amir ducked, turned, and landed a counterpunch to Zarak's side. It wasn't powerful, but it was placed perfectly. Zarak paused for a moment. He looked surprised. Amir didn't give him time to recover. He moved, not to attack, but to bait. Zarak followed, angry, and swung again. This time, Amir ducked, slid left, and punched the same rib. Zarak winced. The crowd noticed. Whispers grew louder. Amir stayed calm. His ribs ached. His legs were tired, but he had a plan now. Second round. No break. The rules here were simple: fight until someone breaks. Zarak began to slow. His muscles were still strong, but his confidence was shaking. Amir could see it in his eyes. He had never fought someone who didn't fear him. Amir began to speak as he dodged. "You think fear wins fights? Punch, dodge, counter. You think pain is power. Step, duck, hit. You've fought broken men. I'm not broken." Zarak roared and threw a devastating hook. Amir ducked, but not fully. The edge of the punch clipped his cheek. Blood flew from his mouth. He fell. The room went quiet. Zarak stood over him. "You're done." Amir looked up, blood dripping, eyes burning. "Not yet." He rose. Slowly. Crowd gasped. Zarak hesitated just for a second. Amir attacked. Left, jab, right, hook. Body shot. Another, and another. He hammered Zarak's injured side. With every punch, the monster shrank. Zarak stumbled back, tried to grab the ropes. Amir didn't let him. He stepped in with one final punch straight to the heart. Not just physically, but emotionally. The type of punch that said, "I'm still here, I always will be." Zarak collapsed. Silence. No one counted. There was no referee, but the match was over. Amir stood in the center of the ring, chest heaving. He didn't raise his hands. He didn't celebrate. He simply looked around. At the rich men who thought violence was entertainment. At the gamblers who laughed when boys bled. And he walked out. As Amir left the ring, someone grabbed his shoulder. It was Harun. "I told you not to go," he said. Amir smiled weakly. "But you came anyway." Harun nodded. "I knew you'd need help standing." Amir collapsed into his arms. Outside, the wind blew softly. The world didn't know what had just happened beneath the city, but word would spread. The boy they tried to break had walked into the shadows and returned stronger. But just as Amir felt the night's cool air on his face, a black car pulled up. The door opened. Inside sat a man Amir didn't recognize, but his voice was calm, dangerous. "You've made too much noise, Amir, and noise must be silenced." The cold night air cut through Amir's skin like knives, but it wasn't the chill that made his heart race. It was the black car parked outside the abandoned arena. The door stood open. Inside sat a man with silver hair, wearing a deep blue suit that looked too clean for such a dirty world. His hands were folded on his lap, and his voice was soft, but it had weight. "You've made too much noise, Amir, and noise must be silenced." Amir stared at him, breathing hard, bruises swelling across his jaw and ribs. Harun stepped forward, blocking Amir slightly. "Who are you?" Harun demanded. The man didn't answer immediately. Instead, he smiled and nodded to the seat inside the car. "Get in, both of you." Harun looked at Amir, unsure. Amir gave a small nod. They got in. The car was quiet, expensive, clean leather, smelled of cologne and secrets. "I'm Malik," the man finally said, "and I work for people who prefer to stay in the shadows. You ruined one of our highest stake events tonight." Amir looked straight into his eyes. "It wasn't a game." "To me," Malik tilted his head, "that's exactly the problem. You fight with heart. The crowd doesn't pay for heart. They pay for blood, for control. Zarek was never meant to lose. Amir's fists clenched. You see, Amir, Malik continued, when you fight outside the rules, you step into our world, and in our world, everything has a price. Harun spoke up. So what now? You'll punish him for winning. Malik smiled gently. No, we'll give him a choice. Amir didn't like the sound of that. Malik reached into a drawer and pulled out 2 envelopes. One, he said, placing the first envelope on Amir's lap, contains an offer. You join us, you fight for us. We build your name, your image, your legend. You'll be famous, wealthy, untouchable, but you'll fight the way we tell you. Win or lose when we say so. Amir didn't touch the envelope. The second, Malik continued, placing the second envelope beside it, contains a list of names. Your trainer, your mother, your friends, even the doctor who stitched your wounds last week. If you refuse the first offer, these names might suffer. Harun's eyes flared with rage. You threaten his family? Malik looked him calmly. In the eyes we protect our business. Nothing personal. Amir sat silent. He picked up the first envelope, opened it. Inside was a contract, pages long, with bold letters, exclusive agreement, Underground Combat League at the bottom. It only needed one thing, his signature. He looked at the second envelope but didn't open it. You want me to sell my soul? Amir said. I want you to stay alive, Malik replied. The car stopped in front of Amir's small house. You have 48 hours, Malik said. Sign it, or you'll start losing people. The door opened, Amir and Harun stepped out. The car drove away, its taillights disappearing into the night. Inside the house, his mother was asleep on the couch. A single light burned near the window. Harun dropped into a chair. This is bigger than boxing now, he said quietly. Amir nodded. It was always bigger. That night, Amir didn't sleep. He stared at the 2 envelopes on the table. He didn't care about fame, but he did care about the people on the second list, and he knew Malik wasn't bluffing. By morning, a plan began forming in Amir's mind. He couldn't beat this system by fighting alone. He had to expose it. He contacted Zaran, old friend from school, now a young journalist who ran an online channel that had slowly started gaining attention for uncovering corruption. He met her in a cafe who disappeared from the spotlight. She said, sipping tea. Now you call me. I need your help. Amir said. I want to show the world what really happens underground. Zara listened carefully as Amir explained everything: the secret matches, Zarek, Malik's threats, the contracts. She nodded. Slowly, we'll need evidence, hard proof. I have the contract, and a name. Malik, not enough. We need a voice, a face, someone from inside their circle. Amir hesitated, then remembered something. Zarak might be angry, but he was also defeated, humiliated. Maybe, just maybe, he would talk. That night, Amir and Harun returned to the warehouse where the underground match had taken place. It was locked, but after circling around, they found a side door open. Inside, the ring was gone, the lights stripped. Silence echoed. Someone was still there. Zarak. He was sitting on a crate, smoking, wrapped in a thick coat. A bandage covered his side. He looked up when Amir stepped in. You got guts coming back here, Zarak growled. Amir didn't flinch. I need your help. Zarak laughed. Help? After you made me a joke in front of those wolves. They set you up, Amir said. You were always supposed to win until they found someone new. Zarak stopped laughing. They used you, Amir continued. The same way they're trying to use me? And when they're done, they'll throw us both away. Zarak took a long drag. What do you want? Your story. On camera. With me. Tell the world what this place really is. Zarak walked over slowly. For a moment, Amir thought he might punch him again, but instead Zarak dropped the cigarette, crushed it under his boot, and said, Fine. But if I go down, I'm dragging every last one of them with me. Over the next 2 days, Zara recorded everything. Zarak told his truth. How they paid him to win. How they forced others to lose. How they used threats to control fighters. Amir gave her the contract. The threats, the car's plate number, everything. Then they waited. Zara edited the video, uploaded it. Title, The Underground Ring That Breaks Fighters. A Champion's Confession. Within hours, it went viral. People began to talk. Within a day, major news picked it up, and within 2 days, the police raided 5 known underground arenas. But the real shock came on the 3rd day when Malik's face appeared in the news. He was arrested, but as Amir watched the screen, he felt uneasy. It had worked. But too easily, and just as the thought crossed his mind, his phone buzzed. Text, you made your move. Now watch ours. He looked outside. His mother was gone. Amir stood frozen at the window. His heartbeat thundered in his chest. The text glowed on his phone screen. You made your move. Now watch ours. His mother's shoes were gone. The kitchen light was still on. Her tea was untouched. And her scarf, the one she never left home without, lay on the floor, right by the open back door. He rushed outside, shouting, Ami, Ami. But there was only darkness and silence. The back gate was open. No tire marks. No footprints. Only a quiet breeze that carried the fear in his throat. Harun came running from the living room. What happened? They took her, Amir said, voice shaking. Malik's people. They warned me. I didn't think. He gripped the edge of the table, his knuckles white. Harun placed a hand on his shoulder. We'll find her, but we have to be smart, not emotional. That's what they want, to throw you off balance. Amir nodded slowly, forcing his breath to steady. Then, he picked up his phone and called Zara. They took my mother. You need to post it now. Don't wait. Are you sure? Zara's voice was cautious but urgent. Yes, post the full video. Let the world see everything. Within minutes, Zara uploaded a longer cut of the interview with Zarek, this time naming Malik, showing his threats, revealing the inner workings of the illegal fight network. It was explosive and dangerous. Amir and Harun packed quickly. They couldn't stay in the house anymore. They moved to a safe house Zara had prepared, a small apartment above her friend's bookstore. That night, Amir couldn't sleep. He sat by the window, staring at the empty street. He played the message in his mind again and again. What hours? What did that mean? Where would they take her? Suddenly, his phone buzzed again. Another message. She's alive. But for how long depends on your next fight. Attached was a photo of his mother, tied to a chair, blindfolded. A scar on her forehead, bruises on her arm. Amir's blood boiled. He showed Harun. This is what they want, Harun said. They want you back in the ring, but this time, they won't play fair. Amir's jaw clenched. I'm going to give them the fight, but not the ending they want. Just then, Zarak walked in. He had seen the video. They're panicking, he said. Malik may be in jail, but the others are still running the network. There's a man named Sultan. He was the one behind the first fight you had. He's the real boss. Amir frowned. Sultan. Zarak nodded. He was once a fighter like us, but he chose power over honor. He builds champions, then destroys them. I want to meet him, Amir said. Zarek hesitated. You sure? Once you step in, there's no stepping out. I'm already in, Amir replied. Zarek made a call. He didn't give Amir details, but by evening, a black van arrived outside the bookstore. A man with dark glasses and a shaved head opened the door. Get in. Amir climbed in alone. The van drove through narrow streets, then into a warehouse on the edge of the city. Inside, silence hung heavy. Then the doors opened. Sultan sat on a leather chair, watching an old boxing match on a projector screen. It was a grainy video, but Amir recognized the younger man in the ring. It was Sultan. He turned slowly. So, you're the boy who ruined my games, he said in a deep, calm voice. You took my mother, Amir said. Sultan smiled. She's safe, for now. I didn't hurt her. I don't hurt women. But if you make the wrong choice, others might. What do you want? I want the biggest fight this city has ever seen, Sultan said. You against one of my best. One last time, one last ring. But this time everyone watches. We stream it. Millions will see. You lose, and you disappear. Your story ends, you win, and I let your mother go. And what if I don't fight? Sultan shrugged. Then I can't promise she stays alive. Amir stared into Sultan's eyes. No fear, just fire. Fine, he said. Set the date. As Amir turned to leave, Sultan spoke again. Oh, and one more thing. Your opponent, he's already beaten you once. Amir stopped. What? He's your past, the one you left behind. Amir walked out without another word, but his mind raced. His past, who could that be? When he returned to the safe house, Harun looked at him anxiously. You all right? Amir nodded. The fight's on, but there's something, he said. It's someone from my past. Zara stepped forward. There's one more thing. She placed a small file on the table. I've been digging. Malik and Sultan. They go way back, and your father wasn't just a mechanic. He used to be a fighter, a good one. Amir froze. What? Zara nodded. His name was Adil the Flame Khan, retired after an injury, but he was one of Sultan's earliest students. Then, he walked away. Harun leaned forward. And you think Sultan? I think your father found out too much, and that's why your mother never talks about him, because Sultan destroyed him. Amir's fists trembled. Zarak stood up. Then it's not just a fight, it's justice. The day of the match arrived. It was no underground setup this time. A grand hall, big lights, cameras, a fake charity front. All lies. But the audience didn't know that. All they knew was that a fighter named Amir Khan was taking on a ghost from his past. As Amir entered the ring, lights blinding him, he heard the announcer say, introducing, the undefeated warrior, the one who once broke Amir's ribs in their first amateur match. Amir's eyes narrowed. The fighter stepped forward. It was Rayan, his old rival, the boy who bullied him in the first gym, the one who had mocked him when he couldn't afford gloves, now bigger, colder. Trained by Sultan, Rayan smiled through his mouthguard. Ready for round two, he sneered. Amir didn't answer. He didn't need to. The bell rang, and the fight began. The crowd roared, but only Amir could hear the memory of his mother's voice. Only Amir knew the pain behind every punch. Rayan was fast, aggressive. He went straight for Amir's ribs just like old times. But Amir had changed. He dodged, hit back, step by step. He broke Rayan's rhythm. Each round, Amir got stronger. By round 4, the crowd shifted. They began to cheer for the underdog. Sultan watched from a balcony. arms crossed, face tight. Rayan grew desperate. He threw a wild punch. Amir ducked and struck back. Hard. Rayan stumbled. The bell rang. Blood on the mat. 1 round left back. In his corner, Amir looked up at Haroon. "One more," he whispered. "One more," Haroon said, gripping his shoulders. "For your mother, for your father, for everyone they tried to break." The final round started. Rayan charged like a bulldog. Amir moved like water. A left hook, a right jab. Then uppercut. Rayan dropped. Silence. Then the referee counted. 1, 2, 3. Rayan didn't rise. 10. The crowd exploded. But Amir didn't raise his hands. He stared at the balcony. Sultan was gone. And Amir knew this wasn't over. Backstage, a man approached. He handed Amir a phone. "She's free." The voice on the other end said, "Check the alley behind the arena." Amir rushed there and found her, tied, bruised, but alive. He untied her, holding back tears. "Ammi, I'm here. I found you." She looked at him weakly. "You have your father's fire." Amir helped her up, but as they walked away, a shadow followed from across the street. The alley behind the arena was still and quiet, except for the slow footsteps of Amir helping his mother walk. Her head rested gently on his shoulder, her scarf covering the bruise on her forehead. Her steps were weak, but she smiled through the pain. "You saved me, Beta," she whispered. "I knew you would." Amir's heart was heavy. His body ached from the fight, but the weight of what he'd learned hurt more than any punch. His mother's silence about the past, his father's hidden story, Sultan's shadow reaching into everything even now. It was too much to carry, but still, he walked forward, 1 step at a time. Just as they reached the edge of the alley, Haroon and Zara pulled up in a car. Haroon jumped out and rushed to them. "Is she okay?" he asked, eyes wide with worry. "She's alive," Amir said softly, "but we need to get her checked." Zara opened the back door. "Let's go. I know a doctor who won't ask questions." As they drove, Amir held his mother's hand. He looked into her tired eyes. "Ammi, please, no more secrets. Tell me about Baba." She looked away at first. Then slowly, she nodded. "You deserve to know." That night, at Zara's apartment, while the doctor checked her bandages, Amir sat beside her. Haroon and Zara stayed in the other room, giving them space. His mother took a deep breath. "Your father's name was Adil Khan, but people in the ring called him the Flame, not just because of how fast he moved, but because he burned with passion. He had nothing when he started, just like you. But he fought his way up. And Sultan, he was his trainer." Amir frowned. "He trained my father." "Yes," she said. "Back then, Sultan wasn't powerful yet. He was still building his network. He saw your father's talent, and he used it. Pushed him into fights he wasn't ready for. Illegal fights, dangerous ones. Your father wanted out, but Sultan wouldn't let him go." Her voice cracked. "The last fight your father ever fought wasn't for fame, it was punishment. He disobeyed Sultan. They locked him in a ring with 3 men. He won, but they crushed his legs afterward. Not in front of a crowd, in a basement. Like an animal." Amir's hands curled into fists. "And you never told me." She wiped her tears. "I wanted to protect you. I thought if I buried it, you would never have to walk that path. But I did," he whispered. His mother nodded sadly. "Before your father died," she continued, "he gave me a key. He said one day, when you were strong enough, I should give it to you." She opened her small bag and pulled out a rusted locker key. "He said it holds the truth." Amir took the key in his hand. Cold, heavy, important. Zara entered the room. "We traced Sultan's phone activity," she said. "He's vanished again, but there's something else. There's a locker at the old gym. One that's never been opened. Number 23. Your dad used to use it. Maybe that's what the key is." For Amir stood up. "I'm going." Zara put a hand on his arm. "Wait, we don't know what's there. It could be a trap." Amir looked at Haroon. "Come with me." Haroon nodded. "Always." Late that night, they returned to the gym. It was empty. Echoes of old matches hung in the air. The scent of sweat and liniment still lingered. They walked quietly to the back, where the lockers stood in a long row. Number 23 sat at the end. Untouched. Amir slipped the key in. It clicked. The door opened. Inside, a black duffel bag sat on the floor. Amir lifted it out and placed it on the bench. He unzipped it. Inside were old photographs, his father in the ring, arms raised, eyes burning with fire, letters, a small notebook, and a flash drive. Haroon held up the notebook. "This looks like training notes." But Amir stared at the flash drive. This is what we need." Back at the apartment, they connected the drive to Zara's laptop. It opened a video file. Grainy footage filled the screen, secretly recorded. It showed Sultan in a room with 3 men. One of them was Malik, another was a man Amir didn't recognize. The last was Zarak. Amir turned to Zarak in shock. "You?" Zarak lowered his head. "I didn't know I was being recorded." "Your father, he asked me to deliver the drive if anything ever happened. I was scared. I didn't." The video played on. Sultan was speaking. "We keep the champions under control. We feed them, break them, build them again. No one leaves without scars. Adil thinks he can walk away. We'll show him." Malik nodded. "He talks too much. He's talking to the press. We should make an example." Zarek's face in the video was pale. Then came the last sentence. Next. Fight, Sultan said. Let's make it his last. The screen went dark. Silence filled the room. Amir stood up. This is it. This is what we needed. Zara's fingers flew across the keyboard. I'll send it to every news outlet, every sponsor, every viewer who watched your fight. Sultan's done. But just as she hit send, the screen flickered, then went black. Power's out, Harun said. No, Zara whispered. It's not just the power. My files. They're wiped. From outside came a sound, a knock, then another dot, then a voice. You should have stayed quiet. Harun peeked through the curtain. Black cars, men in dark jackets, guns, double quotes. Sultan found us, he said. They turned off the lights, grabbed the drive and ran to the back exit. Gunshots cracked in the distance. Zara screamed. Harun pulled her down. Amir shielded his mother. They crawled through the alley, then into a small basement under the bookstore, breathing heavy, hearts racing. They were trapped, but Amir clutched the flash drive in his hand. I copied it to my phone, he whispered. We still have it. Suddenly, his phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. Come alone. Final ring. No cameras, no friends, just you and me, or she dies. Attached was a photo of Zara's younger brother tied up. Amir's jaw tightened. Tried to speak, but Amir raised a hand. I'm ending this, he said, and walked into the darkness. Amir's footsteps echoed in the cold, empty warehouse as he walked alone, his heart pounding with every step. The message he had received was clear. Come alone, or his friend would suffer. He clenched his fists, knowing the final fight was not just in the ring anymore. It was a battle of wills. A war for everything he cared about. The flickering lights above barely lit the space. Shadows danced on the cracked walls, and somewhere in the distance, the sound of dripping water echoed, like a ticking clock. Amir's breath was steady, but inside, the storm raged. He kept thinking of his mother, Zara's brother, his family, and all the people who had suffered because of this cruel underground network. Suddenly, a spotlight snapped on at the center of the room, revealing a solitary boxing ring. It looked worn and old, but it was their battleground. Amir stepped inside, his eyes scanning for any sign of the enemy. From the shadows emerged Sultan, calm and commanding, a smirk playing on his lips. Behind him stood Malik, recently released from jail, his eyes cold and full of hatred. Amir felt their gaze pierce through him like knives. You came, Sultan said smoothly. Brave, or foolish? Amir didn't answer. Instead, he tightened his gloves and took his fighting stance. This was his last chance to end this nightmare once and for all. Sultan signaled, and from the shadows stepped a man Amir knew all too well, Rayyan, his old rival, battered but ready to fight again. This time under Sultan's control. The crowd they expected was gone. There was no audience, no cameras, no cheers, just the harsh silence of the warehouse and the heavy weight of what was at stake. The bell rang. Rayyan charged immediately, throwing fast jabs, aiming to hurt Amir quickly. Amir dodged and countered, focusing not just on winning but on surviving, protecting the ones he loved. Every punch felt like a conversation. Every movement, a story of pain, loss, and hope. Amir remembered his father's words, his mother's prayers, and the promise he had made to himself to fight for justice, not just victory. The rounds went on, each more brutal than the last. Rayyan was relentless, but Amir was stronger, smarter. He studied Rayyan's movements, predicting punches, exploiting weaknesses, and using every lesson Harun and his father had taught him. But then, just when Amir thought he had the upper hand, Sultan called out from the shadows, Stop, this fight is not over yet. Men in black masks surrounded the ring, lifting Rayyan off his feet. Amir's eyes widened. Sultan stepped forward, holding a remote. You want to save your friends? Play by my rules. Amir didn't hesitate. What do you want? Sultan pressed a button. On the wall, a screen flickered to life, showing brother tied up, struggling. Beat Rayyan in the next 5 rounds. Sultan said, or he dies. Your choice. Amir's heart raced. The fight resumed. Rayyan attacked with fury, knowing his life depended on Amir's defeat. Amir fought back harder, every punch fueled by desperation. The warehouse echoed with the sound of gloves smashing, flesh, grunts of pain, and the heavy breathing of 2 warriors. But then, in a flash of clarity, Amir saw an opening. Rayyan's left shoulder dropped just a fraction too late. Amir threw a powerful right hook. Landing clean, Rayyan staggered. Amir followed with a swift uppercut. Rayyan went down. The referee, one of Sultan's men, started the count. 1, 2, 3. Rayyan didn't rise. The warehouse erupted in chaos. Sultan's men rushed in, but Amir was ready. He sprinted to the screen showing Zara's brother. The kid was safe, but scared. Amir's phone buzzed again. A new message. You passed. Now it's time to face me. Sultan stepped into the ring. No more games, he said. It's you and me. Amir raised his fists. The final battle was about to begin. The cold air inside the warehouse felt heavier now, as if the walls themselves were holding their breath. Amir faced Sultan, the man who had haunted his family for years. Every muscle in Amir's body tensed. This fight wasn't just for a title, or pride. It was for justice, for truth, and for the memory of his father. Sultan smiled, a cruel, knowing smile. You want answers, Amir? You want to know why your father died? I'll tell you. He was weak. He couldn't keep up. He broke the code. Amir's fists clenched tighter. My father was brave. He tried to leave your world, but you destroyed him. Sultan laughed, but it was more bitter than amused. Adil Khan was a fool. He thought he could betray me and walk away. Instead, I broke him, and when he begged for mercy, I refused. Amir's mind flashed to the stories his mother told him: the basement, the broken legs, the silence that followed. Now the pieces fit together. The bell rang, sharp and loud. They circled each other slowly. Eyes locked. Sultan struck first fast and powerful punches aimed at Amir's ribs and face. Amir blocked and dodged, using every skill he had learned. The pain from old injuries flared, but he pushed through. Round after round, they fought fiercely. Sultan was ruthless, trying to wear Amir down with experience and cruelty. But Amir had something. Sultan did in single quotes t-hope. Between punches, memories flooded Amir, his father's voice, his mother's tears, Harun's support, Zara's courage. They filled him with strength. In the 5th round, Sultan landed a heavy blow to Amir's jaw. Amir stumbled, seeing stars. Sultan smirked, confident he had won. But Amir remembered his father's last words, spoken through a fading breath. Fight with your heart, son. With a roar, Amir rose. He blocked Sultan's next punch, countered with a quick jab, then followed with a combination left hook, right cross, and a final uppercut. Sultan's face twisted in shock as he staggered back. Amir pressed forward, each punch harder than the last, until Sultan fell to his knees. The silence was deafening. Amir stood over him, breathing heavily. Your reign is over, Amir said. Sultan looked up, eyes filled with hate and fear. You think this changes anything? There are others like me. This fight never ends. Amir shook his head. Maybe for you, but for me, it's a new beginning. Suddenly, the warehouse doors burst open. Police swarmed in, weapons drawn. Zara and Harun led them. We have evidence, Zara said. Your network is finished. Sultan's men surrendered. Amir felt relief wash over him. He turned to Harun. It's over. Harun smiled. No, it's just the start. You have a legacy now. Use it well. Amir looked at Zara, who nodded. His phone buzzed. A message from his mother. I'm proud of you, Beta. Tears filled Amir's eyes. He thought of his father, his family, the fight, and the future. This battle was hard-fought and painful. The morning light streamed through the cracked window of the small hospital room where Amir sat beside his mother's bed. Her breathing was steady now, the bruises fading slowly, but the weariness in her eyes remained. Amir reached out, taking her hand gently, feeling the warmth that reminded him of everything he had fought for. The long nightmare was finally behind them, but the scars, both visible and hidden, would stay with them forever. Outside the room, Harun and Zara stood, talking quietly, their faces filled with hope and exhaustion. Zara turned and smiled at Amir when she saw him looking out the window. You did it, she said softly. You took down Sultan's empire. You saved your family. You changed everything. Amir nodded, but deep inside, he felt a strange emptiness. The fight had been his life for so long. Now, with the enemy defeated, what came next? He thought of his father, of the stories he had uncovered, and the promise to build a better path. He turned back to his mother. Ami, your strength kept me going. Now it's time I take care of you. She squeezed his hand. You have your father's fire, Amir, but also his heart. Don't lose that. Days later, the news headlines were filled with stories about the fall of the underground fight network. Videos of Amir's battles, interviews with Zara, and court trials of Sultan and his men dominated the media. The city breathed easier, knowing justice had finally arrived. But Amir didn't want to be a hero in the spotlight. He wanted to be a symbol, a reminder that even in darkness, courage could shine. He started a boxing academy in the neighborhood where he grew up. It was a small place, but full of hope. Kids who had nowhere to go came to learn not just how to fight, but how to believe in themselves. Harun was his coach again. Zara helped with media, and Amir taught lessons about strength, respect, and standing up for what's right. One afternoon, as Amir watched a young boy practicing punches, the boy looked up and smiled shyly. Can I be a champion like you someday? Amir smiled back. You already are, if you keep your heart strong. As the sun set, Amir walked home with his mother by his side. They didn't speak much. Sometimes, words weren't needed. Their bond was stronger than ever, built on pain, hope, and a shared future. Amir knew the road ahead would not be easy. There would always be battles inside and out. But he also knew one truth. No one could break him if he fought with honor. He thought of his father's legacy and whispered a promise to the night sky. I will make you proud, Baba. The champion who was once forced into the ring to learn a harsh lesson had become a man who taught the world about mercy, courage, and the power to change. And in the quiet moments, when the crowd was gone and the lights dimmed, Amir knew that his greatest fight had only just begun.